Oh, welcome back or welcome. This is part two of my spiritual journey. If you have not caught part one, I would encourage you to do so. I also have an intro video and another video on the channel if you may want to check that out. Where I do some grounding and connecting and getting into alignment. But anyway, so this is part two. And I left off last time with me. I was going to join a gang at one point, okay? So I was talking about how depressed I was, right? The trauma from Christianity, then the abuse, more trauma, disconnected, numb, just trying to find myself or wanting something, needing something, right? And my childhood best friend at the time, she was clearly looking for something as well, connection, community, or what have you. And she went to school with some kids that did not live in our neighborhood. And so I'm traveling with her on a bus, and we go over to her friend's house, who is a part of a gang. She's already been initiated, okay? And most of these folks, I think, are like her family, and some of them are not. I'm not sure. Now, mind you, I live in a neighborhood where some of the people in my neighborhood are affiliated, gang affiliated, may consider themselves being in a gang. And if I'm not mistaken, where we went to and the gang that we were considering being connected with was technically a rival gang to the neighborhood that we stayed in. It made no sense, right? But just wanting and needing something. And I'm pretty sure I would have had to get jumped on, aka get my ass whooped for, I don't know, 3 minutes or something. I'm not sure. In order to prove, I guess, that I was tough enough, worthy enough, whatever. You know how that goes. Well, some of you may not. But in order to be proven, or deemed worthy to be a part of the gang, that you can hold your own or whatever, I did not. I didn't do it. Needless to say, I did not do it. I said I almost, right? But it just lets you know where I was, that I was even thinking about it. I didn't just think about it. I went with her to learn more and to see, if it's what I wanted to do. And got pretty close to it. Like, I could probably take it for 3 minutes. You just ball up and, I don't know. It's ridiculous. So instead, what had happened was, so that was around like 7th, 8th grade. I don't know. I wound up being pressured into, it took like a year, pressured into having sex before I was ready. More trauma, more guilt and shame, because I'm no longer a virgin now. So happy for you, right? Because that was the whole thing, right? Tired of being a virgin. The pressures that come along with that for boys, unfortunately. At such a young age, teased and made to feel some kind of way. And then that pressure was then passed on to me, right? And I eventually gave in. I was just exhausted. I was tired. And there was some similarities. There was no rape, there was no force or anything like that, but there was some familiarity there, in terms of being pressured or being this person is supposed to care about me and love me, but what they want and need or whatever is going on with them is more important than me and my safety and security. Not the same situation at all, But I'll just say that some of those same feelings came up. And I don't even know if it's gave in or did I give up. I don't know. But guilt and shame. And then, I heard about like where you could, your life isn't over. If you've had sex before, you can, still like basically, become celibate and essentially like a born again virgin, right? And so that felt like some redemption or something. Like I wouldn't have to wear the scarlet letter, right, on my shirt or whatever. Like, okay, I could not walk around in the world with my head hung low, right? In regards to that. But so for a while, after that first time, I didn't have sex again for at least a year. And then I did again. Same person, right? And I wound up getting pregnant. And that baby was clearly meant to be here because I was in shock. I couldn't believe it. I don't know why I couldn't believe it, child. Because I was a baby. That's why. Because I was a child. That's why. Terrified. In denial, in a way. But anyway, I just didn't want to have this baby. But it turns out that by the time I even, went to check into even getting an abortion, which I didn't want to get one, but the other option of becoming a mother so young terrified me. I'm like, I'm supposed to become a lawyer. I'm supposed to go to college, become a lawyer. I have my whole life. Right now I'm starting to feel something again, right? This situation now I'm back in the world a little bit. Like, hold on, wait a minute. Yeah, like, no, I can't do this. But I was already 5.5 months along. So, if moving forward with that would have been a very, dangerous, high risk situation. And so that was taken off the table. And thank goodness, my family was very loving and supportive. Before the longest, I didn't want them to know. I was trying to hide it, and they pretty much knew. Like, they knew. And so, what was pretty much said to me, my family's from the South, and they have babies pretty young, They get married early, they start reproducing early, they have a lot of children, and so having babies and even having babies young is not, it's not foreign to them. And they're like, child, you are not the first and you won't be the last. But the whole idea of it being out of wedlock, now that's, we're gonna let you have this one. It's a mistake. It is a mistake. Okay? But we're gonna, we still love you. You get to have this one pass, and that's that, right? But even having a child that young, it was, I felt like I was disappointing my family, and I was determined to be the best mother that I could be at that time, despite being 15. Yeah. And so, no extracurricular activities for me. Wanted to run track. Nope, none of that, because I just felt like, how could I, they were determined that I finish high school, God bless them. And even my daughter's father's side of the family, they were very helpful in helping to keep my baby while I went to school, or we went to school. And so, they wanted us to both be, successful as much as we could. They were supportive in that. And so to turn around and then try to do extra things, stay after school and go to clubs or games and all of that, I didn't even feel right even asking, you know. And I would be away from my baby for so many hours of the day, you know, I would feel like I would be neglecting her. So luckily I had, you know, this mind, right? This brain that I talked about in my first video of being a thinker and seeing things big picture and all the details and putting things together and stuff like that. So that worked in my favor, I think, in helping me to be at least a pretty decent parent, even though I had her so young. So I'm already 10 minutes in. Why? So let me hurry up because I said I want to keep these to 15 minutes. So there's a lot of me trying to, you know, not be a stigma. And so I'm trying to work my butt off, trying to finish school, trying to be a good mommy as best I can. I'm very young, right? So I'm definitely not perfect at it. At some point, and actually this may have been before I got pregnant. No, probably after. I'm struggling with my spirituality and this whole, you know, Christianity thing. And I'm in some depression and maybe postpartum depression. I'm not sure. But I've had experienced depression before, so it didn't feel foreign to me what I'm feeling. And sad, and just really getting to the point where I'm just really like this feeling with this Christianity thing. I'm so torn. I need something. I need some answers. And so I went to church with my mother's mother, but her father, my grandfather, was also in the home, okay? And he was not religious. He did not go to church. And for some reason, it never dawned on me before to ask him any questions. It never really clicked. Like, I knew he didn't go, but I didn't even think about, like, what does he believe? But anyway, at some point, it clicked. Like, you know, this is a man that I love, I think he's brilliant. He was self-taught. He knew everything. He should have won on Jeopardy because I believe he would have won. But anyway, so I go to him and I just... right? And he's there just waiting to just talk to me about it, you know? He never brought up that before. We never talked about religion. And even in this moment, he didn't give me his opinion or anything like that. He just told me all of the things that he had studied and learned. And you know, it was just a relief to hear another story, some different facts that actually made more sense. Okay, and it was still historical facts, but at least it made more sense than what I was learning and hearing from the Bible. 13 minutes. So it gave me some relief, but it did not alleviate the fear, right? I got some relief, like, okay, I'm not completely crazy, because I did trust him. And respected him very much so. But I was still in conflict now. I got baptized back when I was 11. So, you know, I had my ace in my pocket, you know, in terms of being saved. And I wasn't trying to get rid of that, right? Because what if they're right? What if all of this is right? What if, right? So, you know, the thing that my grandfather would say, and I'm asking him what he thinks, and this is about anything and at any time in terms of advice or anything. He would always say, he would ask me, what do you think? And how do you feel? And then ultimately, I would be left with, trust yourself. Trust yourself. I trust you. Trust yourself. Now, hearing him say, I trust you, it like hit me somewhere, like, damn. And I felt like he really did, you know what I mean? And it felt good to hear that and really made me think about that, trusting myself. But what does that mean? What does that look like? You know what I mean? I'm over 15 minutes. But just understand that this advice is in complete opposition to what Christianity is telling me. To not lean on my own understanding. That is what it's telling me. Do not trust yourself. Your wicked mind, you are, girl, no, your mind is a sinner's mind. It is dirty. It is perverted, right? You cannot trust it. No. You trust the word of God, everything that's in this Bible, the words that are in red. That's what you trust. Anything else, throw it out the window because it's the devil, okay? And so, but there's a part of me that knows, that just can't, I just can't accept this wholeheartedly and fully. And so I then received from my grandfather a Bible. I'm sorry, that is so not true. He would not give me a Bible. He gave me The Prophet and he gave me The Alchemist. And I couldn't even really get into those at that time. And I'm assuming it is because of, you know, this religion that was ingrained in me. It wouldn't let me even fully open my mind enough to really even receive those books like that. So I'm going to end it here because I'm over. But when I pick back up in part 3, and I think I'm only going to have 4 parts, guys. I'm not going to try to drag this on too long. I'm trying to keep them as short as possible. I realized that because the whole time I'm still in a relationship, off and on, but more on than off, with the father of my child. We stayed together until she was 7. And there was so much going on with that. And I wasn't trusting myself. When we would break up, it was because I was. And when we were together, I would continue to experience things that just weren't in alignment with who I naturally was. And so it wasn't until I made a decision about that I experienced a shift. So I'll come back in part 3 with what that was, what that shift was, what happened, what decision I made, and what that shift was. Okay? So if you're interested in that, please come on back for part 3. As always, I so appreciate you for being here, whether you come back for part 3 or not. You are valued and appreciated, I can't talk today, in this moment. So I wish you nothing but the best, and I'll see you soon. All right, peace.